There's a moment when you wake up and the dream hasn't left you yet. It lingers, not like a memory, but like a whisper from somewhere you can't name. And maybe you've tried to shake it off, laugh it away, convince yourself it was just random neurons firing in the dark. But deep down, in that quiet space between sleep and waking, you wonder, what if it meant something? What if it was trying to tell you something? What if, somehow, impossibly, it was showing you what's coming? This isn't about superstition. This isn't about mysticism or fortune-telling. It's about something quieter, something you've felt but never spoken out loud. The strange familiarity of a moment you swear you've already lived. The dream that came true in ways too specific to ignore. The warning you didn't listen to. The feeling that somewhere, in the landscape of sleep, time doesn't move the way it does when you're awake. And maybe you've asked yourself, late at night when logic loosens its grip, what if dreams aren't just reflections of the past? What if they're windows into what hasn't happened yet? Dreams have haunted humanity since the beginning, not because we don't understand them, but because we understand them just enough to know they're more than nothing. Every culture, every era, every corner of human history has wrestled with the same question. Are dreams messages? Are they rehearsals? Are they the mind processing reality, or the soul touching something beyond it? And science tells us one thing. Dreams help us consolidate memories. They help us process emotions. They help us problem solve in ways our waking mind can't. But science also admits something else. We still don't fully understand why we dream. We don't know why certain dreams feel more real than reality. We don't know why some dreams repeat. We don't know why you can wake up from a dream and feel like you've been somewhere that exists, even though you've never been there before. And that gap, that unknown space, is where the question lives. What if dreams predicted the future? Think about the last time you had a dream that stuck with you. Not the bizarre ones, not the ones that dissolve the moment you open your eyes, but the ones that felt different. The ones where you woke up and something inside you said, "Pay attention." Maybe it was a face you hadn't seen yet. Maybe it was a conversation that hadn't happened. Maybe it was a place you'd never been. Maybe it was a feeling you couldn't name but recognized instantly when it arrived weeks later. You probably dismissed it. You probably told yourself it was coincidence, because that's what we're taught to do. We're taught to separate the rational from the irrational. We're taught that time moves in one direction. We're taught that the future is unknowable until it becomes the present. We're taught that dreams are just dreams. But what if that teaching is incomplete? What if your mind, in the absence of waking distractions, can access patterns too subtle for consciousness to detect? What if your subconscious is constantly scanning for signals, probabilities, trajectories, and in the unguarded space of sleep, it shows you what it sees coming? What if dreams aren't predictions in a mystical sense, but pattern recognition operating beyond the limits of logic? Consider how much of the future is already present in the patterns of now. A relationship that's slowly fracturing shows signs long before it breaks. A career that's about to shift sends signals months in advance. Health changes whisper before they scream. Opportunities announce themselves quietly before they become obvious. And your subconscious notices these things. It notices the tone in someone's voice. It notices the shift in energy. It notices the small inconsistencies. It notices what your conscious mind is too busy to see. And at night, when the noise fades, when you stop performing, when you stop analyzing, when you stop controlling, your mind processes everything it collected during the day, everything you saw but didn't register, everything you felt but didn't acknowledge, everything you sensed but couldn't articulate. And sometimes, in that processing, it creates a narrative, a story, a dream. And that dream, it turns out, was a map, not of fantasy, of probability. But here's where it gets complicated. Because if dreams can predict the future, even in small, subtle ways, what does that mean for the dreams you've been having? The recurring ones, the unsettling ones, the ones that feel less like stories and more like warnings. What about the dream where you're running but can't move? The dream where you're falling and can't stop? The dream where you're screaming and no one hears? The dream where you're lost and can't find your way home? Maybe those aren't about the future in a literal sense. Maybe they're about the future in an emotional sense. Maybe your subconscious is showing you where you're headed if nothing changes. Maybe it's showing you the trajectory you're on, the patterns you're repeating, the fears you're avoiding, the choices you're delaying. Maybe your dreams aren't predicting what will happen. Maybe they're predicting what will happen if you keep doing what you've been doing. And that's a different kind of prediction, one that gives you power. Think about the people who claim they dreamed of disasters before they happened, the ones who stayed home from a flight because something felt wrong, the ones who changed their route because a dream told them to, the ones who reached out to someone they hadn't thought about in years, only to find out that person needed them at that exact moment. Coincidence? Maybe. But maybe not. Maybe what we call intuition is just dream logic operating in waking life. Maybe what we call gut feelings are echoes of the same pattern recognition that creates predictive dreams. And maybe your mind knows more than you think it does. And maybe, just maybe, you've been ignoring messages that were trying to save you, guide you, prepare you. Because here's what most people don't realize. You've already experienced predictive dreams. You just didn't recognize them. That moment of déjà vu where everything feels familiar, that wasn't a glitch. That was your brain recognizing a pattern it had already rehearsed in sleep. That feeling of knowing what someone was about to say before they said it. That wasn't telepathy. That was your subconscious reading micro-expressions, tone shifts, body language, and presenting the conclusion before your conscious mind caught up. Your dreams have been teaching you, training you, preparing you. You just weren't listening. But what if you started listening? What if you began treating your dreams not as random noise, but as data? What if you kept a journal? What if you noticed patterns? What if you paid attention to the dreams that repeat, the symbols that resurface, the emotions that linger? What if you asked yourself not, what does this mean, but what is this trying to show me? Because the moment you start paying attention, something shifts. You stop being a passive observer of your inner world. You start becoming an active participant. You start noticing connections. You start seeing themes. You start recognizing when a dream is processing the past and when it's projecting the future. And here's the part that changes everything. The more you pay attention to your dreams, the more your dreams start speaking a language you understand. It's as if your subconscious realizes you're finally listening, and it begins communicating more clearly. The symbols become less cryptic, the messages become less abstract, the predictions become less vague. Now, let's talk about what this means practically. If dreams can predict the future, even in small ways, then you have access to a tool most people ignore. A tool that could help you avoid mistakes. A tool that could help you recognize opportunities. A tool that could help you understand yourself on a level deeper than any therapy session. A tool that costs nothing and is available every single night. But it requires something most people aren't willing to give. Patience. Stillness, trust, because predictive dreams don't announce themselves with neon signs. They whisper, they hint, they suggest. And if you're moving too fast, thinking too loud, dismissing too quickly, you'll miss them entirely. Maybe you're skeptical. Maybe you're thinking, this is pseudoscience. This is wishful thinking. This is just pattern-seeking behavior run wild. And maybe you're right. Maybe dreams are nothing more than the brain's way of sorting through mental clutter. Maybe every dream that seemed to predict the future was just retroactive interpretation, coincidence dressed up as prophecy. But what if you're wrong? What if, by dismissing your dreams entirely, you're cutting yourself off from one of the most powerful sources of insight available to you? What if, by refusing to engage with the irrational, you're limiting your access to the kinds of knowing that don't fit into neat, logical boxes? Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. We don't know what consciousness is. We don't know how memory works. We don't know where thoughts come from. We don't know why some people have vivid dreams and others don't. We don't know why certain dreams feel prophetic and others feel meaningless. We don't know why time, in dreams, behaves so strangely. And in that not knowing, there's space. Space for possibility. Space for exploration. Space for you to decide, not based on what science has proven, but based on what you've experienced, whether your dreams deserve more attention than you've been giving them. So let me ask you something. What if, tonight, you had a dream? And what if, in that dream, something showed you a version of your future? Not in detail, not with certainty, but with enough clarity to make you pause. Would you dismiss it? Would you ignore it? Would you rationalize it away? Or would you let it sit with you? Would you consider it? Would you treat it as one piece of data among many? Not the final word, but not nothing either. Because that's the shift. That's where everything changes. Not in believing every dream is a prophecy, but in stopping the automatic dismissal. In creating space for the possibility that your inner world knows things your outer world hasn't caught up to yet. The future isn't a fixed destination. It's a web of probabilities shaped by patterns, choices, and the momentum of now. And your dreams, whether you believe they're predictive or not, are constantly scanning that web. They're rehearsing scenarios. They're testing possibilities. They're warning you of dangers. They're pointing you toward opportunities. And maybe the real question isn't whether dreams predict the future. Maybe the real question is, what future are your dreams trying to help you create? Because if you've been dreaming of falling, maybe your subconscious is asking you to build a stronger foundation. If you've been dreaming of being chased, maybe it's asking you to confront what you're running from. If you've been dreaming of flying, maybe it's reminding you of the freedom you've forgotten you have. Your dreams aren't separate from your waking life. They're part of it. They're the language your deeper self uses when logic goes quiet. And if you learn to listen, really listen, you might find that the future isn't as unknown as you thought. You might find that part of you has already been there.